Welcome to the Circuit of Success Podcast.
The Circuit of Success Podcast.
With your host,
Brett Gilliland.
Brett Gilliland, Visionary Wealth Advisory.
The Circuit of Success Podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. Today, I've got Lucas Farrell with me. How you doing, Lucas?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Co-founder of STL Bucket List, one of my favorite follows on Instagram. And so we connected on Instagram. I was like, hey, man, we need to come on. We'll do a podcast, maybe do your podcast and have some fun. But again, co-founder of STL Bucket List. I know you guys got a creative agency as well.
Yep.
But before we dive into all that stuff, my number one question I always ask is, what has helped make you the man you are today?
I think, first of all, my wife. I met at a time when I was in my early 20s, and I think that she challenged me to be a better entrepreneur. And she saw that I was unhappy in the role that I was in before, and I wasn't doing the right things. And I really think that my wife, obviously I have a great family. I'm from the St. Louis area out in St. Charles County. But yeah, when I met my wife, it really had a shift in my brain to push myself to do more.
Yeah. Did you always think you were going to be an entrepreneur?
I didn't. No, I was always in sales. So I knew that sales was the number one key to anything that you do in life and business. You have to be, no matter how good your business is, if you can't attract a customer. So I was in a sales position before, and I was very successful in my early 20s, and I was doing well in sales, but I was burnt out. I was drinking too much. I was getting that kind of sales cycle of like, let's go sell all day. Let's, have drinks after, and then sell all day. And I didn't like what I was selling. I'm sure you've been there, but people have been there before.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah, man. And it's tough because you it does pay you good money, but it's a rat race sometimes. And so I want to set the stage for everybody listening. Is the core goal of your company? It's to highlight people, places, and events that make St. Louis special, positioning the brand as the go-to local media voice. So when you hear that, obviously you probably wrote that, or you and your wife wrote that, because I know she's your business partner in this. Yeah. And I think she's at home with a new baby, right?
Yeah, I got 2 girls under 2.
That's awesome. How old's the youngest?
The youngest is 12 weeks old.
12 weeks?
Yeah.
So you may fall asleep on this podcast.
I'm tired, man. I was up. I told my team, because I went to the office this morning, and I was like, I've already had a whole day before you guys even got to work.
Right.
And I haven't even started working yet.
Right.
It's tough. But two under 2 is not for the weak.
No, it is not. My oldest, who you just met, was here dropping something off, and then my second one, I have 4 kids. Yeah. They were 23 months apart, so it's. I get it, man. That's why I said if you want to take a nap here, I'll just do all the talking. We'll cover for your wife. Say, honey, he was working the whole time. But again, you hear that, the go-to local media voice. That's a big statement, right? So talk to us about that.
Yeah. So when I wrote that in 2019, it was my wife and I had went on a trip to Chicago, and we noticed that this new wave of influencer marketing. And when we were in St. Louis, we grew up in St. Charles, we moved to St. Louis City, and when we lived in the city, there wasn't a voice for people that were in their early 20s that wanted to stay in St. Louis. We wanted to work here, we wanted to live affordably, we wanted to be able to go out on the weekends and support local businesses. And when I was in Chicago, my wife planned the entire trip off of Instagram, and I wasn't even that active on Instagram at that point, but I saw an opportunity to do that in St. Louis, because I'm like, if it works in Chicago, it's a bigger market, it's a bigger city, it works in New York, it works in all these bigger cities. I'm like, there's nobody here doing content for young people in St. Louis. So when we created the page, it was 3 pillars: people, places, and events. People are the business owners that own these businesses, the places are the places that they have, and then the events are obviously the amazing events that we do in St. Louis. So we wrote that, and I love it, highlighting the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special, because I believe that St. Louis is a special city. It allowed us to build our business here. We're raising our family here. So that statement means a lot to me. I've thought about changing it. I've talked to brand coaches before, but I always come back to it like, that's what I wrote then, and that's what we're going to stick with.
And if it's your passion, man, like mine, you see these stickers here as achieving a future greater than your past. I got hats, I got all sorts of stuff with it, and it just becomes your thing. That's what you're going to be standing for: people, places, and events. So talk about the passion behind this, but also the risk behind this, because you're making good money. It's easy to stay content and do the things you're doing. So talk to that listener now that maybe they got the vision, they have the dream, but they're scared to take the jump.
Yeah, I think the bigger risk, honestly, is not taking the risk at all, because then you get filled with regret. I have a lot of friends. I'm 29 and I'm almost 30, and a lot of our friends have good jobs, but they can't start a business now because they have families, they got mortgages. When we started the business in 2019, I was 23 years old. My wife was still in college, and we were living on, we had a number of $1,500 a month is what we needed to survive. And I knew, okay, if I can make $1,500 a month, then we can survive. Right. Now that's different now, but in 2019, that was what we needed. So I had that number in my mind, and I saved up 12 months worth of that number, and I took the leap, and I built the business before I quit the job too. Okay. I started getting revenue before. I mean, I think that's important. A lot of people, they go on TikTok, they go on Instagram, they think they can build a business with AI and all these different things. And it's like, it really comes down to, sales and retention, and can you retain your customers, and can you get new customers? So I think the biggest risk is not taking the risk at all, but definitely at that time, I mean, that was 2019. The next year we faced that huge world shifting moment, so that was definitely hard to build a business during that time. I'm sure you remember that, but I think take it when you're young, because I hope that your kids and your people that are young, I think that when you have less responsibility, you can fail a lot more. I mean, you can still fail now. I fail every day. So. Oh
yeah. What challenges do you see now for the local, or doesn't matter, national business owners that want to get their names out? They want to build their brand. They want to quote unquote be an influencer. What are they doing wrong that these people listening to this podcast today that are business leaders can change immediately?
I think what they're doing wrong, and I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I think what they're doing is they're modeling other people's success. And you look at these people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who was a big digital mentor. I don't know him, but he was somebody I looked at, and a lot of people want to do content exactly the same as Gary or Grant Cardone or all these guys that were back in the early days of influencing, and people connect with people. And I think that what you do with your podcast is original, and you talk to people that you like. They don't have to be in the wealth space. I don't think anything on your podcast is in the wealth space, but people know you because you do it at your office and stuff like that. But the things that I'm seeing success with now is storytelling. So I want to see your kids. I want to see you coach your kids' teams on the weekend. I don't care what the market percentage is at tomorrow. I want to work with people I know, like, and trust. And I think that a lot of guys and girls in the space, they want to be the top. They want to be the smartest person in the space, and it's people want to, except now more than ever, people want to relate with people that they know, like, and trust. AI is a huge shift in the world, and people can see through it when you're writing stuff with AI. So it's like, how can I relate with the person that I'm working with? All my vendors that work on my house, I know them, I like them. So I think that storytelling, 90% of the content that we do on our business pages is not direct selling anything at all. It's just advertising our team, highlighting our people, and what we do, and then in turn people want to work with us after that.
And give our listeners a little, I should have done a better job of that early on. Tell our listeners exactly what is STL Bucket List, and what are you guys doing, and how are you serving people? So
STL Bucket List is a local media company. I compare it to a magazine. We highlight the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. We post 7 to 10 times a week highlighting local businesses. We have a paid advertisement model as well. So we have a blog, an online website, a podcast, and everything. But 90% of the content we do is organic. We do 10% paid. So some of the stuff you see on our page are paid advertisers, and we go out there. We have some corporate partners that help us with some of the stuff that we do. But really, our bread and butter is our agency called Bucket List Creative. So the agency itself, we have a team of 10 people based all in St. Louis, and we help small businesses in the hospitality space, the construction space, and the healthcare space really scale through social media. So similar to what we're doing today, we produce podcasts for people. We help them with content creation, and then we post it for them, because we know if we send you the content, it might not get posted. So we're going to have to post it for you. And then we also run digital ads and build websites as well. So it's a full service digital agency.
Got it. Makes sense. And so your passion behind that, again, is then the people. What do we need to be doing as the 47-year-old guy, right, that didn't grow up with social media? What do business leaders need to be doing now that we weren't doing before?
I think every business owner should make a budget to hire a social media coordinator, manager / content creator for every business. I think every business that's doing over $1 million a year should have a social media content creator in the office. Right when I walked in here, he was filming. That type of content is important. And
nice work.
He
get
was
attention,
filming,
STL.
Yeah, get attention. Let's go. But yeah, I mean, that type of stuff. People they think, I don't need to post on social media. My customers don't spend time there. But you know better than anybody, guys in their 40s that are spending $1 million a year investing in their retirement. they're on social media too.
Right.
Now they are. They 100%. Might not have been 10 years ago, but now they are. So I think having content in highlighting the team and just having this doesn't have to be a professional video. Everybody's got a phone, but having interns, college people in the office, making you do a TikTok. It's like, hey man, we're gonna do a TikTok today. Right. You're like, really? Yeah. All right, let's do it.
They try to get me to do that stuff. I'm not very good at it. I'm good at doing like podcasts and shadowing other people. But maybe I should get on the TikTok stuff. So, when did you know it was going to be more than a side project and become, again, I think an entrepreneur, there's also massive passion in this stuff too, right? Yeah. So when did you know that?
Yeah, I was, it probably wasn't until 2 years. So 2021, I was still working, freelancing and contracting for other businesses and sales and also in digital. When I realized it was going to be a sustainable business was when we built a following enough to where people came to us for advice on social media. And that's when we really doubled down on the agency. We hired experts in every part of it, and the agency allows us to do what we do with STL Bucket List, just like your business allows you to do this podcast. We have retainers with local businesses, and that allows us to help fund a staff that allows us to do the fun content. But yeah, I mean, it was about 2 years. I didn't pay myself for 3 years. I just lived off the business and didn't pay myself a salary. So until 3 years is when I put myself on a salary. It was $36,000 a year. Yeah. I mean, that wasn't that much money. Right. And then I had kids and got married, and I needed a little bit more than that. So
it's time to start paying some bills here, honey.
Yeah.
What's do you think of all the interviews you've done and the people you've been around and the stories and the businesses you've seen in St. Louis? What's the most unexpected one, but also then the most inspiring one?
Yeah, my favorite interview we've ever had was with Nikki Glazer. Her story is so interesting. She's in her 40s now, and she's now just becoming successful. Yeah. She was able to survive as a comedian, but now if you see her hosting the shows, we had her on right before the Tom Brady roast. Once she did the Tom Brady roast, she went into the stratosphere. Yeah. I mean, that thing on Netflix, and then now she's hosting the all these Golden Globes and all these different things. And but that was 20 years of work. To get there.
Overnight success,
and
right?
On the podcast, she talked about depression, and she doesn't have kids, and she doesn't have the same life as all these other women that are her age. And people just think that these things are glamorous. So I learned a lot from that, the vulnerability that some of those people had. Another podcast that sticks out to me is somebody you had on here, Maxine Clark. Her story from nothing to a multi-million-dollar brand, and now what she's using that money for in the Del Mar Maker District and rebuilding that city. Like, she could just retire, but she's not stopping. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs share that same quality. Although we delegate tasks, we still build, and that's the best part, is building.
Yep. So talk about the fun that you're having, because I think for me, my business partner Tim Hammett and I talk about this all the time. If we're not having fun, man, then what the hell are we doing? Yeah. But so you get to have fun, and you see the posts, and you're going to all these cool businesses. Talk about that and the excitement of fun in your work and what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that what I love most about my job, I just posted something this morning, is like, I love my job. Here's a day in the life. And the day was 12 hours. I got up at 5 with my kids, and then I went and recorded a podcast. Then I went and filmed a local feature at a new apartment building. I think the fun is incredible. Me as a person, I'm probably only at my desk for 8 hours a week. Which sometimes really hurts because I got to get some stuff done. But those other 40 hours a week, I'm in the field meeting local business owners. And a lot of these local business owners, we single-handedly changed the trajectory of their business with one post on Instagram. There was a local vintage shop on Cherokee Street, amazing little craft district in St. Louis. We did a video for her, and she messaged us back, and she said, "You guys saved my business." I had 100 new customers come, and that was able to get me that next year of lease rent. And those are little things, but not little to them, but they're little to us because it took us an hour to go film the video. So that type of stuff. I got to go throw out the first pitch at the Cardinals game off what we did on Instagram. It's like, I was a huge Cardinals fan. I wanted to be an MLB player when I was growing up, and then when I got to tell my dad that I'm throwing out the first pitch, he never understood what social media was. He doesn't even know what
he's like, I still know what my son
I
does
made them
for
an account, and they follow just our account. So it's like it's an egg account. They don't have any followers. And now they see the stuff we're doing, but like for about 5 years, he's like, okay, so when are you going to go get a real job?
It's like, son, it's time to have a job.
And he's a contractor, so he's a union guy. He's like working, that's real money.
Yeah, right. working hard, and he's like, my son does something with Instagram.
But then I had to
don't
show him.
understand
I'm like, hey, look, like, and I opened up my QuickBooks and I was like, hey, look what we're doing, and then you kind of have to open their eyes, and I'm sure,
Yeah. Well, my dad, when I was 23, I started in the insurance world. And he's like, well, what's your salary? And I'm like, well, there isn't one. Yeah. It's 100% commission. It's like, wait, you went to college and now you're going to like just work commission? I'm like, yeah. And now he's like, okay, it worked. But our parents, they're there to protect us, aren't they? What's the shift been like for you? So again, think about our listeners. They're listening. They're business leaders. They're coaches. They're whatever they're doing. Yeah. But to go from a solo person, right, to now I got a team, right? So you got a team of 10. You got a building. All these things. What was that shift like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's harder now than ever to acquire talent, and I think that the young kids have so many opportunities to go work somewhere, and a lot of the jobs they don't have to work that hard to make that much money, and it's actually kind of sad because the remote work I think is killing the world. I can't stand remote work, and we do remote on Fridays, so I give them that. We do Fridays from home, but Monday through Thursday, I think. But I think that you have to provide a career path for somebody. People want more than a job. They want something that they can talk about. They want something that they can talk to their friends about that they're proud of. And we don't have the best benefits in the world, but we try our best to give our employees the best quality of life. But I think that to your question of like scaling was the hardest thing ever, because I thought that I was better than the person that I was bringing in, but in all reality I wasn't focused, and I wasn't niched down to that task. So my first hire was an account manager that just handled client relationship, and they touch base with clients every day, and although that cost me a lot of money, that freed my time up to make more money and to do things that I actually want to do. But it was hard. I mean, we pieced together contractors, freelancers, interns for a long time, and now we have 10 full-time staff members, and when you look at that monthly bill, it does look hard, but now my work is focused on doing stuff like this, expanding our name, expanding our brand.
Well, I would just tell you, as a guy that's obviously a fair amount older than you, keep doing it, because I hired my first assistant after my first year in the business, and it was after my second year in business, and I had a terrible year, and I remember telling my wife I'm going to hire somebody. She's like, wait, what? And so we did, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And so continually investing in those people, and I always say, if everybody that works for me, I want to be the dumbest person in the room, of course, right? And I can do that pretty easily. So I get a lot of great people that work for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But we couldn't do what we do without them, right? And so how do you stay connected to the heartbeat of the city of St. Louis?
Yeah, so that's really easy for me. I'm on social media a lot, and for better or for worse, I wish I was on it less, but it is my job. So every day I spend at least like an hour following accounts and curating accounts that I want to follow. And one thing that's different about STL Bucket List is we don't post anything negative. You'll never see a negative piece of content on our page. On our page, we want people to follow us. You can listen to the news and watch the radio, or watch the news, listen to the radio if you want to hear negativity. So I follow accounts. I have notifications on accounts that I trust. You mentioned Rennie, guys that are telling stories in St. Louis that I think that we could also tell. So yeah, I'm on it. My team is on it. All of our team is on different platforms. So like, I'm not on TikTok and they're on TikTok. So if they see somebody that's creating cool content, we might have them come into our office and be like, hey, can you teach us something? Or can you hop on our podcast and tell us what you're doing? And then I read newsletters from bigger brands in other cities I try to catch waves that are happening in bigger cities, because we're usually 3 or 5 years behind in St. Louis. So it's easy to hop on those waves. It's really easy.
So whatever they're doing on the coast, grab it.
Super easy.
Here. Yeah. And so when you think about that, is how do people find you? Because it's hard to, I guess, did you buy ads? Did you, what'd you do to grow the following?
In 2019, it was a lot easier to reach organic people. We definitely did some paid advertising at the beginning, very small amounts, but a lot of it was local SEO. So St. Louis in our name was key, St. Louis bucket list, things to do in St. Louis. Like, we hit those keywords. We were one of the first people to have a good website at that time. Now everybody's got websites and stuff like that. But really, it was just posting every single day, responding to comments. I mean, we didn't just post, we engaged with the audience. And I think that's what people forget about, is you might have this really good brand, but if you're not engaging with the people that follow you, they're gonna lose interest in what you're doing.
And when you say engaging with they follow,
like, if they message you, respond. For sure. If they comment, respond. If you see other people's content that's good, throw a comment on there. I think that those are little things that our social media managers do every single day, that make a real difference in actually building a community. Because we're not just posting for us. The reason we're posting is for them to get value, not for us to get value.
Right. What do you see with the AI world and having a a digital creative place like you've got, how does AI play a role now? And then what do you see that being, good and bad?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things that AI brings. We've been using it for video editing, podcast editing. We've been using it for content strategy ideas, but nothing replaces a real person making real content,
right.
you know? And that's what I worry about with AI, is that you don't know what's going to be real or not anymore. And I can take your face and make a video of you talking about one of our clients and run an ad on it, and you would never know it even went out. Yeah, I think that there needs to be control on that, but I've empowered our team to use it. At first, I said nobody can use it to write anything because I didn't want our clients to be like, okay, well, they're using AI to write these captions or to write these things, but we use it more from a strategy, blogs, content, SEO, and then we started using it for podcasting, to cut up clips, and different things like that, just to save time on stuff on video editors and stuff like that.
So what do you see your business 5 years from now? If we want to be the brand as the go-to local media voice, what do you see 5 years from today?
So I want us to, we have 230,000 community members on Instagram. In St. Louis City, there's about 300,000 people. We know that there's 3 million people in the greater metro. We want to have 20% of that. So hopefully we're going to be around 600,000 followers. I think we can get about 20% of the greater metro. I mean, not everybody's on Instagram. We want to grow our other channels. We want to grow on LinkedIn. We want to grow on TikTok. And then we want to expand to new markets. So Kansas City, we're going out there next month to meet with some influencers out there. So we want to expand to Kansas City, Nashville, Midwest cities.
Yeah. And what does that business model look like? Just, hey, I'm here and we're going to try to then be the digital side to all those people, or we want to follow the listening, get the followers because you're doing cool events like what the cool bars are and restaurants and all that.
Yeah, so in Kansas City, we have an amazing influencer out there that's already doing the work. They just don't have a model to monetize behind it. So we want to come bring our team in there, help her monetize her brand, and have her do the things that she's already doing, but actually earn income off
business
of it.
around it.
Yeah, and we can't do it. We're not the eyes. We're not going to go. I'm not going to go to Kansas City every week. You know, I have kids, and it doesn't make sense to drive over there and make content like she's already doing it. So same with Nashville is like these two growing cities in the Midwest, Charlotte, all these other cities that are growing right now. I think there's opportunity for people to monetize, help them launch a podcast. Like that was one of the big things that we did 3 years ago that helped us become relevant with advertisers because they're used to audio. You know, they're not used to digital yet.
That's
so
right.
that was a big thing. So yeah, that's my biggest goal is to, because there's so much you can do in St. Louis. I think we can build a sustainable business here and not have to do that. But in order to give our team that growth, I think we have to go to new markets.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge for you each day?
People, not only just our employees. I love all of them and they're amazing, but I think that people is always an issue. I think that's the most important thing. And then not only people, our clients. So, you know, our clients are people in house. I think that managing personalities, and the anxiety and stress that comes with trying to please every part of the business, which is just impossible to make everybody happy in every single situation. But I think that's when I wake up is the thing that keeps me up most at night is making sure that I'm providing a career path for my people, and then also providing a return on investment for the clients. Yep.
So what advice would you have for there's a fair amount of young people that listen to this podcast as well, and I put you in that young category.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you're a lot younger than I am. But for those that, you have a family, you've got a business. I mean, being a business owner is tough, right? Being a business owner takes a lot of your brain power throughout the day. Yeah. Takes a lot of hours, a lot of stress. What advice would you have for the 20-something-year-old right now that needs to bet on himself and go build a business?
I think the first thing is there's no work-life balance at all. I'm balancing.
I call it work-life integration.
Yeah, work-life integration is a good way to do it. I'm doing it better now that I have kids, but there are times where my wife gets on me at 6 o'clock when I'm trying to do something, and I think that work-life balance, if you want to build a lifestyle business, it's just not possible. It's not going to be successful. There's somebody else doing it that's going to work harder than you. So I think work-life balance is what I say bullshit. Work-life balance. I like work-life integration, but also you have to get out there and do things yourself. You have to learn skills and do things before you hire people to do those skills. A lot of people are like, I'll just find a sales guy or I'll find an assistant. It's like you have to do the assistant task before you give them to an assistant. That's right. Because that person might leave and they might not be there that day and you're going to have to be able to do them. So I think learning skills, it's so easy to learn skills. I don't necessarily think you even have to go to college to learn these skills. You can learn on YouTube. You can watch other people that are doing it, and there's a lot of things. 90% of the things I do in business I learned on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I now with AI you can learn all these skills as well. So I think that's a great piece of advice. And then you have to be able to face rejection and face scrutiny from your friends and family. I mean, people are going to laugh at you when you start your business because it's not serious.
That's right.
And I had that, and it's kind of embarrassing, you know. and then when you build something special, people want to come work for you, and that's when you know you really built something special.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send Jeff this picture right now. That's all right, Jeff. I think I just put it on the old hotspot or whatever you call that.
Yeah, the airdrop.
Airdrop.
Come on, man.
If you didn't get it. So I'm showing my age right there, aren't I?
Yeah.
All right, got it. So this is, he's gonna put this on this video, I hope. But so I took a picture of this. This was me in probably about 8th grade. I think I couldn't remember. I was in 8th or 9th grade, and I'll show you right here.
Yeah.
So this is my drawing, and this is what I wrote.
It just spun.
Yeah. There it goes.
Yeah.
It says your I will is more important than your IQ.
Okay.
Right. And I think, your I will means I got to show up. And I think that's probably what I'm learning about you today. And the advice you have for people, the advice I have for people is my I will is way more important than how smart I am. Yeah. Obviously, you want to be smart. You want to be intelligent, all those things. IQ is extremely important. But I've seen it. Super high IQ people, the I will sucks. Yeah. Right. They're never going to be successful. And I don't mean just by money. I mean by time and treasures life. and life and travels and being with their kids. And so when you hear that my I will is more important than my IQ, what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not the smartest person in the room, and I think that the I will stands out to me of when I talk to people and I give them a task instead of saying I can't do that. Can't is a bad word in my household and in my business, and I think that I will figure that out, and I think that those are the type of people that are successful. I agree with you 1,000%. Yeah. And I am smarter now by doing the business, and I think it all is like trial and error. But I mean, I think that those I will people, like we're yes people at the end of the day. When a client asks for something, we're going to say yes, and we're going to figure it out.
We're going to figure it out.
You know, and that's just how I've always operated. And we're going to go above and beyond for people too. I think that scope is a big word in marketing. Oh, that's outside of the scope. No client wants to hear that's outside of the scope that I'm paying for you. Yep. Hey, let's do it, and then let's talk to them next time. Be like, hey, although we did a couple things that are outside of the scope, like we want to build something that actually fits your needs. Do it first, you know. And I think that it's tough, but I will. I'm big in affirmations. I'm big in the law of attraction. I manifest a lot of the things that I want. I wanted a family. I wanted all these things, and I think positive self-talk is part of that. I will. You know, telling yourself that I will.
100%.
Yeah.
It's funny you said I can't is a bad word in your family. And so I think it was my second son one time was struggling. You haven't gotten there yet because they're little, but he couldn't get his seatbelt on. Yeah. He's like, I can't do it. He was getting frustrated. And it's like, I think it was Henry Ford that says, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Yeah. So I turned around and said that to my son, right? And it was one of those things that like something just like clicked. And he was just like, and like got it on. I'm like, how do we go from this struggle to like now we just got it on?
Yeah, I like that quote.
But it is. It's like how much we tweak our brains to believe what we think we need to believe to be successful. And I've lived my whole career that way, so I think it's important. So keep doing that, man.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. What do you do to stay a student of that game? Manifesting, the books you read, probably some of the stuff like that. What's your look like?
I'm not reading as much as I used to, but How to Win Friends and Influence People was a big book in my career and one of my sales jobs made me read that book. And I did door-to-door sales, I did phone sales, I sold insurance, I did all of those sales. So I think that those books helped me, but now I listen to people that have what I want and have been where I've been. So podcasting, like, now that I'm aware of what you do here, I can't wait to listen to more of your episodes and different people that I want to learn from, but more on a global scale. My First Million is a great podcast I listen to every single day it comes out. I mean, I listen to it. It's 1 hour a day while I'm driving. My commute's 25 minutes. I can listen to it on the way back and work. And so I listen to people that have been where I've been. And one of those things I wanted to tell to younger entrepreneurs is take advice from people that are actually doing what you want to do. Although my parents weren't in this business, it's like, unfortunately, you can't take advice from people that work a 9-to-5 job in a different industry. It's like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I have to listen to other entrepreneurs. Right. And definitely listen to your parents, but also listen to people that, like, if your son wants to be in your position, he's got to listen to you. But if he doesn't, he's got to listen to somebody else that's in a different, if he wants to be a lawyer or anything else. That's right. And those are the people that give you advice about kids when they don't have kids is the worst.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, no matter what plan you think you have for your kids, it's like, it ain't going to happen. Mm-hmm. I remember my wife, one time this kid was like acting up like awful at the at a restaurant. And
Yeah.
she's like, I'm like, our kids will not act like that. You
Okay.
know? She's like, all right, whatever. Well, then I remember one time I was just ready to die. We were at a local pizza joint, and this lady comes up because one kid's like throwing a knife on the ground. They're like licking salt shakers. They're like just being
Crazy.
kids, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I just wanted to like pull my hair out.
Yeah.
And this lady walks up and she's like, you're going to miss this day. And I'm like, really? Like, am I really going to miss the kid licking a salt shaker and all that stuff? And then you do. You start, as you saw, my oldest is in college down to 6th grade for my 4 boys. And you do start to miss some of the stuff.
You got
so
4
I think
boys.
I got 4 boys, man. It's nuts. And even last night around the house, I'm like, really? Like, we're going to be a sophomore in college, a senior in high school, a sophomore in high school, and then a 6th grader. And they're playing a basketball game like it's the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, just relax a little bit, But they're gonna be competitive, and their mom's competitive, I'm competitive. So
that's great.
Anyway, we could go on and on about that stuff, but what's next? What's the biggest thing for you? The biggest challenge for you that you want to overcome and then make happen?
Yeah, I want to delegate everything in my life, hopefully by 2026. I mean, a goal, and not just so I don't have to work, it's just so that I can work on actually growing the business. I feel like the last 2 years have been not just making do, but just putting plugs in the boat that's leaking. And I feel like I can't grow until I can do that. So that's a big goal of mine is empowering. We're doing a lot of growth stuff with our team. We're paying for them to go to any and every way that they can get better. If you need to take off work to go to a conference, we're sending them to places to get better. And I feel like that's the most important aspect of our team is we want to be aggressive about growth, delegation, and performing for our clients. I want personal development is a big goal of mine.
Let's keep that going.
And being a great dad. I want to be a great dad. And I'm going to be a great dad. I will be a great dad.
Pretty important. Pretty important. Obviously, with a company called STL Bucket List, I would assume you have a bucket list.
Yes.
What are some of those things?
Yeah, I think that some things on my personal bucket list is to travel with my family. There's some places we're going on our first big family vacation this summer, but I want my kids to be able to experience things I didn't experience. So we haven't written that out yet. We have a summer bucket list in STL. It's called ABC. I'll send you the link, but it's like A, B, C, D, everything with A's to check off with your kids. But some of my personal bucket list is to build my personal brand, to be a good father, whether that's just being present, to be a good leader. Those are really just things that I want to do. I mean, we have those lists of places we want to travel. My wife and I are coming up on our 5-year. We're going to hopefully go to Greece. That's one of our bucket list trips that we want to do. But right now it's just locked in on my family, and that's like the only thing I'm focused on.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I make that a priority, man, because I thankfully have been able to do that. My dad did that, and but I'd also tell you, travel as much as you can now before they're in school, because as they get older in school, it gets harder. So we went on way more vacations by the time they were like, my oldest was probably like 10 before, and then it slows down, right? Sports, school, all that kind of stuff.
So let me ask you this. We're going to Florida. We got a house, and we're debating. We haven't bought our tickets to fly yet. We're like, we should just drive. And I'm like, it's 16 hours. I'm like, I don't know if I want. I have 2 girls under 2, so it's like a long drive, but it's also a long flight. Yeah. So what advice would you give me?
100% fly. Okay. And then the advice I would say is,
but like rent all the stuff down there, like strollers and extra.
Oh, dude, no. If you would have seen us traveling, I look back. My wife and I laugh about it. When my oldest started sleeping in his own bed, it's just funny that we even did this. We had these rails that you could slide under the mattress, so like he couldn't like fall out of bed. Yeah. I mean, I remember lugging these damn things, cling, cling, cling,
all through
these
the
little
airport.
bag, all through the airport. We had this big ass stroller with sit 2 kids, and we brought everything. Pack and play.
Okay.
We brought it all.
That's why we're debating driving. I'm like, we have a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta, but I also don't want to drive.
I would tell you, if you
big.
can afford it, I would tell you spend some dollars and just rent it or do whatever when you're down there. But I would fly. Make sure especially the baby's got like a bottle like milk or something when you're taking off. The pressure on their ears. Okay. Do that. But yeah, man, my kids flew a ton in their first 4 and 5 years. So we've done the whole driving thing. I had a bad experience, and so we drove for about 8 years places.
Yeah.
And so that's fun too, because you stop at random spots. But if you can fly, I would
Okay,
fly.
that's
But
good
just
to
make
know.
sure they're drinking a bottle, because you hear those screaming babies, and people are like, ah.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. What where do our listeners find more of you, Lucas Farrell, and and STL Bucket List?
Yeah, so I really would just suggest to follow us on Instagram at STL Bucket List. Our agency is at Bucket List Creative. My personal page is private, but if you guys do want to follow that, that's Lucas W. Farrell. I curate that page a little bit just because I don't want to let everybody into what. When you have we have hundreds of thousands of people following your pages, you kind of want your private life to be private too. You know, that's with the thing, and like especially with little kids, and my wife's a high school teacher for a full-time job, so there's just a lot of like things that people are doing, and it's just a lot of people know us that don't know that we don't know, and it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, STL Bucket List, we post every single day. Every Friday we post weekend events to do in St. Louis. Every Monday we post new restaurants to visit. So like if you live in St. Louis, there's no reason you shouldn't follow STL Bucket List to just stay in the know with what's going on in your city.
Amen to that, man. That's how I found you. You guys got great stuff. So Lucas, thanks so much for being on the Circuit of Success, man. It's been awesome.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. This was awesome. It's cool to be on the other side. I have one question to end with you.
Let's do it.
How do you balance running a business, supporting running your family, and doing the content like this? Because I'm in the same shoes as you. You're just a lot farther along in what you've been doing. I mean, what are your tips to, like, how do you disconnect? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I will show you when we get off here, just because I don't have it up, but I will show you this org chart that I created for that question that I got asked recently at a talk. But for me, it's all about people. And I think I told you if this podcast or another one, I hired my first staff person when I was 23 years old, and haven't looked back, and now have, dozens of people that work for us, because without the right people in the right seats, I couldn't do what I do. Right. And so, but when I started my own company, the hardest thing for me to let go of was some of the stuff that I knew I was good at doing, and I wanted to be involved. And sometimes early on it felt like, well, crap, I'm not needed as much anymore, right? So I struggle with that a little bit, in all transparency. But then I did a great exercise with our team. I wrote down my top 10 things I thought I did for the company, and then had them vote on what they needed from me. And I said 3. And it came back to these 3 things of what I need to be doing. And it gave me permission to kind of step away from a little bit from some of the decision making and the day-to-day type stuff. But again, at the end of the day, it's back to people, 100% the people.
I read this thing, and I kind of tell my team this is like, hey guys, I want to be less important today. You don't want to be the most important person, and sometimes you feel when you're young and you're starting your business, like, I'm very important at home, I'm very important at work, and you get your shoulders hurt because you're stressed and all these different things. But then when you're least important, you're like, my wife's like, I don't really need you to come home. And then you're like, well, you don't need me to do anything. And then the team's like, hey, we're good, we're gonna go handle that. I'm like, so what do I do? Then you feel
continue building on that and just trust the process. And I thought too, people, if people could do it 80% as good as what you thought you were, then you were golden. The reality is they're doing it 105, 110% better than you. That's true. So just keep trusting that, and look at that as an investment, not an expense. That's the best thing. So cool. Well, awesome, man. Well, thanks for being with me. Absolutely.
We'll see you guys.